Yo, Veteran Joystick here, welcome back to the channel. This last week has been insane. Larian Studios have been up to their classic playful tricks on the community by teasing their next game as part of the release of their 2024 advent calendar. Swen Vincke gave the entire games industry a telling off, worse than my mum ever gave me. Larian's publishing director warns of the future of games development becoming extremely tough, and Baldur's Gate 3 wins even more awards and then gets review bombed. Madness. Stick around as we take a look. So over this weekend we saw the return of a very Larian Christmas, which is a 12-day countdown featuring a daily jigsaw puzzle. Now today, December the 16th, we saw a jigsaw that ends with a gorgeous image of the Red Prince from 2017's Divinity Original Sin 2, and alongside it we get some new lore, and also it's voiced by the narrator from Baldur's Gate 3, which is really nice, definitely worth checking out. But what's funny is the first puzzle on December the 13th was an image from Baldur's Gate 3, the Shadow Cursed Lands, and when we completed that one, it gave us a new video direct from Larian Studios on their Channel from Hell YouTube channel. In this new video, we saw a clip from the studio's senior communications developer, Aoife Wilson, and she's decorating a Christmas tree, and then she goes on to say, "Before I forget, I got you one more thing." And she picks up a present labelled Larian's Next Game, in a tease to what that next project's going to be. And then Sven comes running in, he takes the present away from her and says, "Sorry about that. This thing, it needs a lot more time in the oven, but by the time it's finished, it's going to be so big. So for the time being, you're going to have to wait." Classic Sven, classic Larian, teasing us and giving us nothing. Now back in March, Larian confirmed that it stopped working on a Baldur's Gate 3 expansion, any DLC, and also the Baldur's Gate 4 sequel. And instead, they announced that they started on two ambitious new IPs. So whilst we don't know exactly what they are just yet, it's nice to see that they're giving us a few little ribs on what that could be. Who knows? I'll keep everyone updated as and when we know more on those. And then last week, Larian won another award, making it their 43rd, I think, game award since the release of Baldur's Gate 3. And this time it was for the best community support at the Game Awards. And I'm sure we can all agree, thoroughly deserved. They've done a fantastic job of keeping the game alive, reacting to bug fixes, adding in new features, even adding in new subclasses and things, which we'll go on to in a minute. But something else happened at the Game Awards. Sven got up on stage and he was there to present this year's Game of the Year award. And as part of that, he gave the entire games industry a bit of a grilling. Now, I won't go into the entire speech in full detail. The whole thing is up on YouTube. Go and check it out. Give it a watch. But he said to the games industry exactly what we all think. Now, Sven spun this really cool story on how he spoke with an oracle. And that oracle told him who's going to win the Game Awards next year, the year after, and the year after that. And it was a studio that didn't treat their players as users to exploit. They didn't treat their developers like numbers on a spreadsheet. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. They created this game because it hadn't been created before. They made a game that they wanted to play themselves. They understood the value of respect, that if they treated their developers and their players well, the same developers and players would forgive them when things didn't quite go as planned. But above all, they cared about their games because they love games. It's really that simple. Now, this is quite clearly a veiled dig at the games industry. And rightfully so. We've seen so many examples in recent years of games that have clearly been created and pushed out to the public based on internal profit goals, targets, and they strip out a lot of the things which make those games so enjoyable, so unique, so interesting, and so beloved by fans over the years. One of the reasons I fell so in love with Baldur's Gate 3 is, of course, the gameplay and everything within the game, but the community, the studio, Larian Studios, the love and respect that they have for their fans, the player base, and everything they've given us. It's really shown me that there are still incredible studios out there that truly care about making great games. And it's so refreshing to see a big exec like Swen Vincke, who is now realistically the head of one of the most prestigious and well-respected development studios in the industry, speak out against these bad practices. And look, I'm sure it will fall on deaf ears, but it's amazing to see someone standing up for the players. What a legend. However, as to be expected in this day and age, there's been some pretty significant backlash on Sven since those comments were made at the Game Awards. And what that's led to is some pretty pathetic review bombing for Baldur's Gate 3 on Steam. Now look, we've seen this kind of thing time and time again. Review bombing is super common, it's pathetic and it's embarrassing, but it happens all the time and we're used to it. And I'm sure that this will have absolutely zero impact on the future of the game. And as we all know by now, patch 8 is on the way, it's coming early next year, and it's bringing with it a whole host of new changes. And it's no surprise that Baldur's Gate 3 won that Community Support Awards at the Game Awards. I mean, just look at this. We're going to see the addition of crossplay, which has been asked about over and over again since the game launched. It doesn't affect me. I have literally zero friends, but for you guys that do and want to play with your friends on different platforms, I hope this brings you some joy. We're then going to see 12 new D&D inspired subclasses added, one for every single class of the game. So we're going to see the College of Glamour for the Bards, we're going to see Path of the Giants, which is a modded subclass I tested before. This is the official version, but with the modded version that I played before, it was genuinely one of the best subclasses I've ever played, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the official version looks like. We're getting the Cleric Death Domain subclass. We're getting the Druid Circle of Stars subclass. Again, I've covered the modded version of this one and I really enjoyed it. It basically gives you starry form, which allows you to assume the constellations of either the Archer, the Chalice, or the Dragon, and each one gives a different playstyle and a different strategy, different attacks, different abilities, etc. We're going to see the Oath of the Crown for Paladins, Arcane Archer for the Fighter. Again, tested the modded version of this, super fun, a kind of a magical twist on the Archer class. We've got the Drunken Master for the Monk, which just reminds me of the Jackie Chan classic Kung Fu movie from the 80s, The Drunken Master. If you haven't seen that, you like Kung Fu, check it out. Really good. And then we see the Ranger Swarmkeeper subclass, the Swashbuckler for the Rogue, and the Shadow Magic Sorcerer. We're getting the Hexblade for the Warlocks, which is one of the most popular D&D 5e subclasses, so the official version of that is coming to the game. And we'll see the Bladesing for the Wizard class. And then we're getting the photo mode. So this looks super comprehensive, really detailed. Loads of different camera settings that we can choose from. We can zoom in, we can zoom out, we can remove backgrounds, we can make changes to the lenses, change the depth of field, focus, exposure, field of view. We can change the scenery, remove NPCs from it, remove characters from our photos. So the patch 8 stress test is starting in early January. We'll be able to sign up for that soon. The stress test is happening on Xbox, PlayStation and PC, and this is very normal from what we've seen in previous patches. Really excited for that one. It's said to be the last major update for Baldur's Gate 3, but they did say that prior to patch 7 being released, so who knows. So yeah, a pretty crazy week in the world of Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian Studios. Some really interesting news stories this week. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means more than you know. Thank you so much for everything. Big love. I'll see you in the next one.